Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's recipe is smothered pork chops. Let's get into the ingredients, shall we? 4 bone-in pork chops, a half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of seasoning salt, a half a teaspoon of black pepper, a teaspoon of smoked paprika, half a teaspoon of onion powder, and half a teaspoon of garlic powder. Half of a sliced white onion, 2 diced garlic cloves, 2 teaspoons of fresh parsley for garnishing, and about a teaspoon of fresh thyme. 1 cup of chicken broth, 2/3 of a cup of heavy cream, a half a cup of all-purpose white flour, 1 to 2 tablespoons of oil for pan searing our pork chops, and about a half a stick of butter. That's it. So first we're going to start by combining all of our seasonings, and we're going to go ahead and give it a good mix. Just mix it all together. We're basically making a rub for our pork chops. So go ahead and combine all of the seasonings, give them a good mix, and let's go ahead and season our pork chops. So before seasoning the pork chops, you want to make sure that you pat them dry. You want to do that really well. So go ahead and pat them dry, and then you can go in with seasoning. So we're gonna just sprinkle a little seasoning on each side. I chose bone-in pork chops because, as you guys should know, any meat with bone always brings the flavor. And over here, I am definitely all about flavor. So this is a center cut chop here out of pork loin, and this is from the shoulder. So they're 2 different cuts. They're both still considered pork chops, but they're 2 different cuts, and I just find these 2 from these cuts to be the most flavorful. And now that we have our 4 pork chops all seasoned, go ahead and turn your stove on. Get your skillet nice and hot. Add a little bit of the oil. I would start with like 1 tablespoon of oil in your skillet on medium-high heat. We're going to sear these pork chops. I do about 3 to 4 minutes on each side. Okay, now my oil is nice and hot. I'm gonna go in with 1 pork chop and then 2. Now I'm gonna fry these up for about 4 minutes on each side. For the record, I had to pour off some of that oil, you guys. I actually fried some fries in this oil that I'm using. I don't waste food. So I had to pour some of that oil out. So this is about a tablespoon and a half of oil. There you go. So let's go ahead and flip our chops over after 4 minutes. And we're going to go for another 4 minutes on this side. Now, these are some pretty good sized pork chops. If you choose to use, let's say, boneless and a smaller pork chop, you don't have to brown them for 4 minutes on each side, because they're 9 times out of 10 they're going to be thinner. These are about 1 inch thick, so make sure you adjust your time accordingly. So this is how much sear we want on our pork chops, you guys. So I pulled the first 2 out. As you can see the juices flowing. You don't want to cook the pork chop all the way through, because we are going to bake them in the oven for anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. So when you brown your pork chop, make sure you're just doing this, browning them. You don't want them to cook all the way through. And again, if you choose a smaller pork chop or a thinner one, you should probably go like 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes on the browning part, okay? Okay, so we have all 4 pork chops nice and brown. And we're gonna go ahead and start building the gravy, the sauce, the roux. I don't want to, I'm careful when I use the word gravy, guys, because that's a whole video within itself. So I'm going to go in with the onions and just saute them for a couple minutes. I'll come back in with the garlic and we'll move forward. I went ahead and dropped in the 2 minced garlic cloves, and it's gonna saute that for about 45 seconds. And then next I'm gonna remove the onion and garlic and start building some gravy by deglazing the pan. There's so much flavor. It smells so good in here, y'all. There's so much flavor in this pan going on right now. It smells so amazing. So the onion and garlic have been sauteed. Now I'm adding this butter. I removed them from adding the butter. Go ahead and melt that down. I know you guys see all those speckles in there, like dark speckles. It's okay. We actually need that. I'm gonna come in with the flour. I did lower the heat a bit. I lowered it a bit so I could start building this, and then come right in with the chicken broth. I'm going to put the chicken broth. And now, you guys, all of that was on the bottom of the pan, and even on some of the sides, as you can see, just keep working it like so we can start building the gravy. Now the reason you want to turn the heat down low is you can see how thick that is. You don't want to burn it. So to I'm gonna get it nice and it is very thick, but that's okay. I'm just trying to scrape everything from the bottom of the pan and get it all incorporated in there. And now I'm going to add the cream. And keep giving it a stir. I'm going to do this for about 2 minutes, and I'll come back and we'll see where we're at with our sauce, or gravy, sorry. So after about 2 minutes, this is what our gravy is looking like. It's like the color of peanut butter and the thickness of some like thick and chunky peanut butter. I am going to thin it out a bit by adding, this is about 3/4 of a cup of water. And I'm just going to repeat the stirring process of just bringing it together. My heat is still on, it's on medium low because I did lower it. So I'm going to go ahead and go at it for another 2 minutes, and we'll come back and see where we're at. Okay, you guys, so after another 2 minutes, this is what we're looking at, like a creamier peanut butter. So I did add another 1/2 cup of water. I don't want to keep adding cream to it because I just don't want to oversaturate it with cream, but I'm going back in with the onion and the fresh thyme and just gonna give that a mix. Go ahead and preheat your oven right now at 350 degrees, When I come back, I'll have all of this nicely cooked gravy and pork chops. I'll have them in a baking dish right before we go into the oven. So our gravy is nice and done, and I'm just gonna cover all the pork chops with it. I wanna get it all. Just spread it all around. And that's what we're looking like. I'm gonna go ahead and cover this with some aluminum foil. Pop it in the oven for anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. And then we'll be back with the final results. I'm gonna start working on my side dishes, which for today, I feel like white rice and probably some garlic butter spinach. So with this dish, you definitely need a starch. Mashed potatoes would be a good one. Smothered potatoes would be a great one, like a great pairing for this dish. But I'll see you back with the final results. And here we go with the finished product, you guys. Smothered pork chops. I really hope you enjoyed the video. I do hope you try the recipe. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Everyone within the sound of my voice, please like the video. See you next time.